Thanks so much, guys, for joining us this afternoon. I'm very grateful. Please don't forget to love and like what we do so that we don't get flagged. And do always remember that it is not enough for you to watch what we do. There are other people who are in Nigeria that we are motivating through your financial donation. So it will be necessary for you to make contribution. The links are there for you to try and make contributions. Thank you very much. So there's a slight change to our campaign trail today. The focus, however, remains that we want to keep Igbo Off Yorubaland. And there are two fundamental reasons why we want Igbo out of Yorubaland. Number one is that they are not having value to our economic prosperity. They do not come to Yorubaland to make it great. They actually come to Yorubaland to undermine our greatness, to undermine our civilization, and as well as to kill our people in all ramifications that you can imagine. And they are using crime to actually destroy our civilization. For so long, this has been ongoing for more than 53 years. And this generation, our generation, we are now saying enough is enough of the Hebrew criminalities across Yorubaland. And the second reason why we want Igbo Off Yorubaland is that they were the people that destroyed Nigeria. If you describe as Nigeria being a failed state, it is the Igbo that must be blamed, because they were the people who suspended the regional government, who destroyed the political system that we all agreed to. And since they destroyed that political system, it is unbelievable to note that the same Hausa Fulani who have always massacred the Igbo since 1945, the Igbo people, the Igbo nation as a collective, has always supported the political interests of the Fulani since 1959. So their presence does not benefit the Yoruba nation in any ramification whatsoever, be it economic or politically. Economically, they are draining our resources because they come like drove into our space to essentially ruin our civilization. And if you and I fail to defend the Yoruba civilization, our children shall not have a future. And everybody does that. They try to defend their civilization. That is what the white America is doing in the United States of America. The English have always been perfecting that from time immemorial. And politically, we're not benefiting from the Igbo because they've never supported the Yoruba to rule Nigeria. They've never supported the Yoruba to control Nigeria. So the best option for them is to leave our space. And if they continue to say no, they are going to be killed. They shall be killed however they want us to do it. So that is the basis upon which we have started this campaign to keep Igbo Off Yorubaland. But folks, if you have followed this campaign trail, today is 19th day of the 60 days that we are going. We're going 60 days. If you have actually followed us, you will by now must have appreciated what I said on the 30th of April this year, I think 3 days ago. I came out to request of the head of state of Yorubaland, the Ooni of Ife, to retract the statement he made in respect of Ajay Festival. We said then that we are trying as much as possible to rebuild the destruction of the Yoruba civilization as a result of the more than 53 years of the unitary system imposed upon us, that the office of the head of state of Yorubaland cannot be seen to be against the collective interests of the generation to change the course of history. So when Oni of Ife made that untrue, unfounded, and unjustified statement in respect of Ajay and claiming the origination of the Igbo from Ile-Ife, we said that we demand him to retract that statement. Believe you me, we're still expecting that. And we do back it up with a statement that if he does not, in due course, we will undermine that office. We do respect the office of the Oni of Ife, and we believe that he's going to retract that statement. I made it bold that I have been in a WhatsApp group with other political leaders in Yorubaland where this issue was raised, but I wasn't the obas that matters, the politicians that matters, they are all in that group. But I was completely unaware that yesterday, the office of Alaafin of Oyo, who incidentally is also the president of the Yoruba nation, will issue a statement in respect of what the head of state said in respect of the Ajay festival. Before I will address the press statement that was made to the Nigerian Tribune yesterday, on the 2nd of May, by Alaafin of Oyo, I would like to clarify certain things that the young Yoruba are oblivious of. They are not very conscious of this reality. And the reality is that, guys, don't forget, so many people are watching us and very few of you have liked this, because if these children of hate will come now, they might have upper hand. And I want to say something that is very important. So please, kindly love and like this as you are joining us. Yeah, as I was saying, I wasn't expecting the office of Alaafin of Oyo to issue a statement in respect of what the Oni of Ife said about Ajay and Igbo. But let me make some clarification. In the statement made yesterday by the Alaafin of Oyo, he said in a very clear term that he's the president of Yorubaland. That is the truth. And this is what we've been saying to the young Yoruba for many, many years that we started YYF. That because the history has been taken away from our curriculum as a result of the suspension of regional government, before we don't have the same educational curriculum. The educational curriculum of the Yoruba is different from that of Igbo, and that of Igbo is different from that of Fulani. But because of the unitary system, which was introduced in 1966, they suspended history because they don't want the Yoruba youth to be able to know what has gone on in the past and to observe the present situation so that we can collectively predict the future. So in that publication yesterday, Alaafin of Oyo clearly stated that he is the president of Yorubaland. That is a statement of fact. Before the incursion of the English colonial talk into our body politics, the office of the Oni of Ife has always been the spiritual head of the Yoruba nation. We are a nation. We were never part of Nigeria. The English created Nigeria. We did not. So when we were an independent nation, the Yoruba nation, the Oni of Ife remains the head of state of Yorubaland. We used to call him the spiritual head, which is the head of all Yoruba everywhere. But he doesn't have political power other than being spiritual head. Everybody defers to him. But the Alaafin has always been the president. He controls the entire Yoruba nation. That has been the case. So having said that, some of you who have a copy of my book, The Commonwealth of the Yoruba Kingdom, I clearly stated this, that we're going to have our parliament will be grouped into two, the Oduduwa Republic Parliament. That one will be House of Obas and the House of Commons. The House of Obas will have 50 members and 35 members will be by hereditary and 15 members by the designation of the Prime Minister. And the 35 members are actually the highest Obas in Yorubaland, who are 35. the ridiculous excesses of obas we have now, we're going to have to reduce them. But only 35 obas have been recognized in the Constitution of the Oduduwa Republic. And the House of Commons, I said to you, there will be House of Obas and the House of Commons. The House of Commons will have 105 members by election. That is the 3 members per province. So we recognize 35 obas, which I do not wish to go into details, but the first one, of course, is the Oni, who is coming from the Ife province. And the second one is Alafi, who will be coming from the Oyo province. And then if you want me to say all of the 35, I can say it to you. Awujale will be representing Ijebu province. Akaribo will represent the Remo province. Owa Bokun will be Ilesha province. Olubaka will be Akoko province. Alake will be Egba province. Olu of Wari will be the Shakiri province. And Olubadan will be Ibadan province. Shaun will be Ogbomoso province. Oba of Lagos will be Lagos province. Elepe will be Ekpe province, who will be representing Ekpe province. Akaran will be Badagry province. Deji will be Akure province. Olowo will be Owo province, which is number 15. Number 16, Oshemawe will be Ondo province. Atauja will be Oshogbo province. And Ewe will be Ado province, number 18. Number 19 will be Onilorin of Ilorin. He will be representing Ilorin province. Orogun will represent Igbomina province. Obaro will represent the Okun province. Jegun will represent Okitekupa province. Anyogburen will represent Ikorodu province. Oluyewa will represent Yewa province. Olofa will represent Ibolo province. Ashenyi will represent Okeogun province. Eloerua will represent Ibarapa province. And Olota will represent the Awori province. Ajero, which is number 29, will represent Ijero province. Owore will represent Otun province. Elekole will represent Ikole province. Olukare will represent Ikare province. Timi will represent Ede province. And then that's number 33. There are two others that are currently outside Nigeria where Yoruba are. Oni Sabe will represent Sabe province and Oni Popo will represent Popo province. Yeah, that is going to be the 35 provinces that will be recognized within the Oduduwa Republic. And these 35 obas will be members of the House of Obas. And another interesting thing that will happen is that the House of Obas will meet once every 3 months only to approve amendments to the Constitution, declaration of a state of emergency or war, and any other matters. The House of Commons will meet every day to approve of government business and common law. I have reiterated this to the young Yoruba who have no clue about our political system before the incursion of the English colonial talks. And in the letter which I will discuss now, the Alaafin of Oyo recognizes himself as the president of Yorubaland. That is the truth. He has always been the president. And majority of young Yoruba have no clue about this. So let me go into that letter proper because it details a lot of things that the young Yoruba need to be aware of. And those of you who have been privileged to those of you who have been privileged to have read the letter, if you have followed the YY, you will know that it has an undertone of all that we have always been saying. And then to quickly take that question, Mr. Olatunji, is the House of Commons is to distinguish commoners from hereditaries. People who have hereditaries are the obas. The obas have natural role. They are born to be obas. So we distinguish between that. It has always been the same all over the world where they have monarchical system of government. Now, let me quickly go to that. But the essence of doing all of this is to show the young Yoruba the difference between education and consciousness. These two are not the same. Education and consciousness are not the same, because the majority of the young Yoruba youth, we are actually well educated, but we're not conscious of our environment. We're not conscious of a lot of things. And as a result of that, we have allowed Yoruba nation to be enslaved for the second time. Same by the English, but they are now using the face of the Fulani. So, like as I've said, on the 30th of April, we requested on behalf of the 30 million young Yoruba that the Oni of Ife need to recant his statement made in respect of Ajay, in which he said that the Igbo founded Ajay and that the Igbo originated from Ile-Ife. These are not true. And we have said this again. So Alaafin of Oyo, who incidentally is the president of Yoruba Nation, came out clearly on the fallacious comment made by the head of state of the Ife in respect of Ajay. So in the Alaafin of Oyo letter that was published by the Nigerian Tribune, another thing young Yoruba must know is this: all of the statement that has been made in respect of Ajay by Oni of Ife were actually published in Igbo newspaper like Sun and other non-Yoruba newspaper like Vanguard. These are the people that are carrying propaganda for the Igbo, particularly the Sun. The Sun newspaper is owned by Oji Uzokalu. It is a propaganda newspaper. They are not even publishing it in Igbo, and they publish it in Yorubaland. But it's a propaganda outlet for the Igbo. And then it is not Oni of Ife that is directly behind all of this. It is one Prince Joseph Daiola, whose mom is Igbo, whose father is Yoruba. He's trying every means that he could to try and form an imaginary unit between the two. But we are not the same. We will never be the same. And Alaafin of Oyo said that in a clear terms yesterday in that publication. Alaafin of Oyo affirmed that there is no relationship between the Igbo. The Igbo people were spelled as IBO. There's no relationship between the Igbo and the Yoruba in any sphere. Alaafin of Oyo maintained that His Imperial Majesty the Oni of Ife, he recognized his position as the spiritual head of Yorubaland, which we call head of state. Let me now go into more details, because in that letter, the very first paragraph or second paragraph or thereabout, the Alaafin of Oyo addressed himself as the president of Yorubaland. Like I said, that is the truth. Before the English came, the Yoruba country was made up of a capital. We call capital in Yoruba language Oluilu. And we have other local towns and villages. Our political administration consisted of a central government and subordinate units. And these were clearly stated in Alaafin's letter. The central government of Yorubaland before the incursion of the English colonial Turks was headed by Alaafin. Alaafin is the descendant of Oromiyan. Oromiyan is one of Oduduwa's children, by the way. Alaafin is always assisted by Aremo, who is the successor to Alaafin. So whenever Alaafin dies, the Aremo takes over. That has always been our political system. And both of them, the Alaafin and the Aremo, they have a handful of people helping them out within the palace. Within the palace, we have the Alaris. These are the palace guard, which today we will call presidential guard. Then after the Alari, we have the Ono Ifewa. They are always in charge of judicial matters. Otun Ifewa, these people perform religious duty for Alaafin. Perhaps they want to pray to God. They want to carry out rituals, which we all do. It will be the responsibility of the Otun Ifewa to carry this out. OC Ifewa, they are in charge of political affairs, try to intervene on issues that have to do with politics on behalf of the Alaafin, where Alaafin might not be able to participate. And under that, we have the Orokin. These are the palace historians, people who keep record of our history. And that is there. Then we have the Tetu. The Tetu are the executioners, those who have been condemned to death because of one criminal activities or the other. This will have to be carried out by the tattoo. They are the executioner. So you can see the hierarchy as I go ahead. Before the English came into our homeland, Oni of Ife is the spiritual head of Yoruba nation. That is the head of state. Then we have the president, who does all the political running of our nation. And the president is Alafin. Under Alafin, we have the Aremo, who is the successor. Then under Aremo, we have the people that have listed. Under those people that have listed, the Yoruba central government also consisted of other political figures in the administration of the Yoruba kingdom. Who are these figures? They are, the number one is the Oyomesi. Oyomesi is the legislative electoral college and in charge of the removal of Alafin. Because we practice our own kind of democracy was even superior to that of Greece. Greece people have been credited with the people who started democracy, but we have practiced democratic system even before Greece. Ours have checks and balances, which I have always emphasized to the young Yoruba. So we have the Oyomesi, who are in charge of the legislative. They are the electoral college. They are the people who can remove Alafin. That was why I reminded the young Yoruba that in our own democratic system as Yoruba, we appoint the Oba, we remove the Oba. It's not as if we can't remove any Oba we so desire to remove. That's why I said that so that was the role of the Oyomisi. So they are in charge of the removal of Alafin. Even though Alafin is the president, if he does things that is contrary to the benefit of the Yoruba, he will be removed. And then after the Oyomisi, who are in the legislative, the Oyomesi will be today National Assembly members. Now, we have the Ogoni courts. The Ogoni courts handles judicial and religious matter. The Ogoni courts are today the Supreme Court. The system has always been with the Yoruba. So you have the Oyomesi, who are today the National Assembly members. The Ogoni courts are the Supreme Court, the judiciary. They handle judicial and religious matter. After that, we have the Basharon and the Profician Balogun. The Basharon and the Profician Balogun, they provided immediate security needs of the capital. The Basharon and the Balogun, they protect the capital of the Yoruba nation. They are in charge of that. I think I've said to you many times again that my great-grandfather was the Balogun of Remoland. He was in charge of the military for 33 times. That's my family history. And my grandfather was an Oba who held power for more than 40 years. So I have an understanding about my country, the Yoruba nation, a lot of that. So after the Basharon and the Proficial Balogun, you have the Proficial Baloguns again. They are the one that I've just mentioned is the Basharon and some Proficial Balogun. After them, you have other Baloguns who are the Ekun. The Ekun Balogun is led by Okere of Shaki. The second one is Sabigana of Igana land. And the third one is Elerua of Erua. These are proficients Balogun who are head of the army within the prophecies. And then under these proficial Baloguns, there are other Baloguns as well. I've mentioned the one called Ekun, led by Okere of Shaki, Sabigana, which is Sabigana of Igana, and Elerua of Erua. The other Baloguns are Ekun, led by Onikoyi, Aresa, Elepe, Idode, and Iseke. I don't want the young Yoruba to miss this because it's very important. The letter of Alafi is so important that you need to understand them. If you have not read them, you have to. You have to try as much as possible to read them. So I'm talking about the Profician Balogun, showing you the hierarchy of the political leadership of the Yoruba nation before the English destroyed that system. But it's not as if the English have destroyed that system anyway. The system is still very much intact. Our generation will revive it. So I said to you, under the provincial Balogun, you have the one called Ekunotun. There are about 3 who represent the Ekunotun Baloguns. It is the Okere Oshaki, the Sabigana of Igana, and the Lerua of Irua. Ekun is led by Onikoyi, Aresa, Elepe, Idode, and Iseke. The Esho, now we have the Esho. The Esho are the regular army. They are under the Are Ona Kakanfo. The regular army. We also have the cavalry horse, those who use horse to go to war. They are trained soldiers as well, also under Are Ona Kakanfo. You can see the role of Iba Gani Adam in these things that we have mentioned. This, I'm talking about the hierarchy, the political hierarchy of the Yoruba nation. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the political hierarchy of the Yoruba nation. So you can see the role of Are Ona Kakanfo in this. After the Esho and the cavalry horse, we also have the infantry. These are land soldiers, again under Are Ona Kakanfo. So there are 3 sets of soldiers, all under Are Ona Kakanfo. Esho, the regular army, they are under Are Ona Kakanfo. The cavalry horse, those who are always on the horse. Now, you have to replace that horse with navy, so to say. They are also trained soldiers, again under the Are Ona Kakanfo. And the infantry, these are the land soldiers, again under the Are Ona Kakanfo. And after that, we have the Bale of dependent towns and villages. Bale were responsible to Alafin at the central level. Then you have the Yoruba political administration was also based on semi-autonomous states led by their king, but these are subject to the Alafin. In the letter published yesterday, Alafin emphasizes the fact that we colonized the Dahomey people. You know why we've always been saying to the young Yoruba that look, this idea of slavery, this idea of reparation, we just need to let it be, because at one point or the other, we all colonized one people or the other. The English colonized us for 100 years. Before then, we colonized the Dahomey people too, the Yoruba nation. And I've emphasized to young Yoruba who are so confused. They don't know why the Igbo cannot vote in Yorubaland. And the Igbo will quickly say that, oh, there are Nigerians who are voting and be voted for in England. But look, young Yoruba, the only reason why Nigerians can vote in England, and I don't like to call them Nigeria, Yoruba, Igbo, or whatever, the only reason why we can vote in this country is because of slavery and colonialism. For instance, as a Yoruba citizen, I can vote in England and I can be voted for because the English came to my space, killed a lot of our people, enslaved a number of us, and stole our wealth to build England. That gives us the legitimate reason to say, I want to vote and be voted for because you came to my homeland and disorganized my country. A number of English are not proud about this. So because of slavery, we Yoruba can say we want to vote in England. But we cannot say that in China because the Chinese never came to colonize us. We cannot go to Russia and say we want to vote and be voted for in your country. It never came to our country to colonize us. We cannot say that of Bulgaria. We cannot say that of Latvia. We cannot say that of Estonia. We can't go to Malaysia, Singapore and say we want to vote and be voted for. These countries never came to Yorubaland to colonize us. So this is why we say to the Yoruba youth, the Igbo nation has no legitimate right whatsoever to vote in any Yoruba space. We did not colonize them. The only people who are not Yoruba, who can vote and be voted for, are actually the Dahomey people. And Alaafin of Oyo stated in his letter yesterday that we actually colonized Dahomey people. We stated this fact so that young Yoruba can see. So when the Igbo say to you that we are one Nigeria, they can vote, you have to remind them that before Nigeria independence, we signed up to 3 constitutions. The constitution of the Yoruba, which is different from that of the Igbo, which is different from that of the Hausa. It is not one Nigeria. We started with 3 Nigeria. We all agreed that the 3 Nigeria must now become 11 Nigeria. That was what we agreed to. So the idea of one Nigeria is a fraud on the part of the Igbo to be able to vote in Yorubaland and be voted for. They don't have that legitimate right. In the constitution of Western Nigeria, which is the Yoruba constitution, that constitution clearly stated that for any non-Yoruba to vote, you must have spent 15 years in Yorubaland and you must produce evidence of 12 years tax clearance certificates. But today, do you ask the Igbo who wish to vote in Yorubaland if they have lived in our space for 15 years, if they can produce 12 years tax clearance certificate? They have no right to vote in Yorubaland. I emphasize that. It's unfortunate that history has been taken away from our curriculum. That's why ridiculous, criminally minded Igbo are talking that they want to vote and be voted for. I can vote and be voted for in England because the English came to my space and messed up our life. We are still facing that atrocity up to now. But I do not believe that I have to ask the English for reparation. No, I don't think so. We also colonized Dahomey people. Dahomey can ask us for reparation as well. At one point, the English were colonized by the Romans. So you can see the story. It's there. But nobody is colonizing any other person. We all want to make our respective countries great, except the Igbo who want to appropriate other people's land. That is why they are being killed everywhere they go to. You will see in this letter that I'm going to discuss how Alaafin Ofoyo clearly stated that the Igbo are criminals. You will see everything we've been talking about as well. So you can see that the Yoruba political system, we have semi-autonomous states led by their king. When we colonize Dahomey people, we give them their king, but they pay tributaries to us. They give us some money. We were powerful, Young Yoruba. We are empires builders. We are powerful. Igbo are not our contemporaries. No, they were not. So the Yoruba political administration was also based on the ultimate principles of check and balance, which implies that each of the administrative levels that I've described above can check, challenge, or nullify the actions of other levels, irrespective of their administrative hierarchy. Now, I'll explain that to you. You know, the first man is the Alaafin, who is the president of Oduduwa Republic. Before Alaafin, we have the Oni, who is the head of state. So if Alaafin messes up, the Oyomesi will remove it. So you can see the hierarchy. If the Oyomesi, the legislature, if they are not doing what they are supposed to do, the Ogoni court, the judiciary will remove them. And if the judiciary are messing up, the Balogun, the Basharon, the Professor will remove them. And if the Balogun are not doing what they are supposed to do, Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò will counter them. And if Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò is messing up, the Baale of dependent nations will not respect Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò's office. You see, that is the checks and balances that we put in place. It's not as if anyone is superior to the other. Each and every level of political hierarchy, we check on each other. That's why I emphasize to the Yoruba nation, when Oni made that untrue statement, it doesn't mean that we cannot remove him from office. We can actually remove him from office because it has always been. And I cited an example of others that have been removed. We have once removed, or more than once removed, the president, who is the Alaafin. We recently removed Deji of Akure, who assaulted his wife. During regional government, Anoba went to prison for fraud. So it's not as if there's no check and balances. There's always check and balances. Our generation just think that Oba can say any nonsense and everybody will keep quiet. That was why the stupid man from Iwo said he's Emir of Ilorin. He ought to have been removed because he made a very stupid assertion. He ought to have been removed, calling himself Emir of Yorubaland. Look, that has been the pre-colonial political system of the Yoruba nation, which we embrace until the English came and messed up the whole thing by amalgamating us with the Hausa Fulani and the Igbo. But you see one thing the English did. They retained their whole monarchical system. The Queen is the head of state of England up to today. Oni should remain the head of state of Yorubaland and Alaafin should remain the president. The new thing that we incorporated, and which is in this book, and which was written by Bola Ige before he was assassinated by Obasanjo and Atiku, we incorporated the office of the Prime Minister. So these are the three most important offices under Oduduwa Republic. The head of state, the current head of state of Yorubaland is the Oni of Ife. The president of Yorubaland, the current one, is the Alafin of Oyo, who is the president. And then the prime minister. We have had Awolowo, we have had Akintola, we have had Adegbero, we have had Majekodumi, we have had General Adeyinka Adebayo, who have occupied the office of Prime Minister of Yorubaland before the Igbo suspended regional governments. So the hierarchy is clearly defined in this book. And I'm glad that the president, the Alafin of Oyo, stated that office clearly that he's the president of Yorubaland, and that is a statement of fact. So under the Oduduwa Republic that we have declared, the head of state, the Oni of Ife, he will be the one to call the political party with majority MP to form governments. Without that, no government can be formed. This has been clearly defined under Section 33, subsection 10 of the Constitution of Western Nigeria. It was clearly there. Majority of us young Yoruba, we've never read that constitution. I don't have a copy, but I've read it a long time ago. But I wish you have a copy. So apart from that role or function for the head of state, the Oni of Ife will also approve the ambassadors that will represent the Yoruba nation. He's not going to appoint. That role will be done by the prime minister. But Oni will have to approve it. If Oni does not approve an individual as an ambassador, he cannot represent the Yoruba nation. And foreign ambassadors that will be coming into Yorubaland will submit their credentials to the office of Oni of Ife. That is the three functions of the Oni of Ife as the head of state of Yorubaland. The Alaafin, as the president of Yorubaland, has his own function too, checks and balances. The Alaafin will be the chairman of the House of Oba. All the constitutional amendments will be passed to his office as the chairman of the House of Oba. It is only the House of Oba that will amend the constitution of Oduduwa Republic. Alaafin will then be the commander of the armed forces. He will be the head of the army. Being the head of the army, he will appoint the chief of army staff. That is the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò. It is only Alaafin that can declare war or state of emergency that will say Yoruba we are going to war with this country or the other country. And where there is problem in any Yoruba prophecy, it's only Alaafin that can declare a state of emergency. That is not the power of the prime minister. You can see the checks and balances. And what is the role of the prime minister? He will organize the day-to-day running of government business. He's going to think about your food, how you are going to get food, how you are going to get clothing, how you are going to get shelter, how you are going to get healthcare, how you are going to get educated. That is the responsibility of the prime minister. And he will represent the Yoruba nation in the Committee of Nations, like the United Nations. He will speak and negotiate, sign bilateral agreement on our behalf, formulate our foreign policy, and how we relate to the world. You see, this is checks and balances. This is what we're telling the young Yoruba. We've only had a beautiful system. The English maintain their own system, but they would like to destroy ours. Nobody subscribed to this unitary system, folks. I'm glad that the letter shows clearly the position of the Alaafin. I've been saying this for many years. People always ridicule what we say because they consider us to be too young, to be well informed. And I simply said to you, it is a matter of reading. When you read, you will be knowledgeable. I'm going to speak about the Yoruba dream. A number of young Yoruba, you don't know that we have a dream. I'm glad that Alaafin stated that clearly. So we, as this next generation, we are the generation that will revive everything that has been destroyed. We're going to revive it. Now let me now look at this letter properly and then I address it further. From paragraph 2, Alaafin of Oyo, the president of Yorubaland, he clearly stated Yorubaland as of today. He included Kwara and Kogi as part of Yorubaland, among other areas, which you always know. That's why we keep saying to Young Yoruba, stop using the word Southwest. It is disheartening. It is ridiculous. It is stupidity. It is not the case. We are not Southwest. We are Yorubaland. Kwara and part of Kogi, the Okun side of Kogi, are part of Yorubaland. Akoko Edo and Ishekiri. These are Yorubaland. So we're not Southwest. In paragraph 2 of the letter of Alaafin of Oyo, it stated this. In paragraph 3, Alaafin of Oyo warned that Yoruba liberals should be very careful and should stop dragging our heritage, our culture and value system into the mud, which implied that they should stop destroying the fabric of our society. That was the purview of his paragraph 3 address. In that address that he wrote and published in the Tribune, it wasn't published in the Sun or any Igbo newspaper. When I said to you, you read Nigerian Tribune, Punch, and other Yoruba newspaper. Sarah Reporter is a propaganda outlet. Apart from the fact that it's not Yoruba, it's doing propaganda. That's what he's good for. And he works for the Fulani. So in paragraph 3, Alaafin of Oyo warned the liberal, stop distorting our history to suit your narration. Many people are so stupid because they are married to the Igbo. They think that Igbo and Yoruba are one and the same. No. I could have been married to an English. Would that make Yoruba and English to be the same? I have cousins who are half Yoruba, half English. It doesn't mean that Yoruba and English, we are one and the same. That you are married to Igbo or Fulani, it doesn't mean that we are the same with these people. We are different. Alaafin stated this very clearly, and we're going to get to that stage. So the liberal, the president wants that you stop distorting our history. And there's a grave implication for that if you continue to do so. You don't see the president coming out in the newspaper. He could have addressed, he has already addressed, because I told you I'm in a WhatsApp group with his leaders, all of them. And I push a lot of my argument forcefully. I push things forcefully with them. They all know. They put me there because of what we've been doing. They respect me so well. But I've always been emphasizing, it is the youth who are always changing the course of history. We cannot be political. We want to make Yorubaland great. We must speak the truth to the youth, and they will roll with this information. So we must not mislead this youth. So the president clearly warned in paragraph 3, he warned you liberal. If you are having sex with an Igbo, it doesn't mean that the Igbo and the Yoruba must have equal rights and privileges in Yorubaland. No. We Yoruba who are living in North America or in any European country, we don't have the same right and privileges as indigenous people in these places. So the head of state warned you liberal very well that you should stop distorting the history of the Yoruba nation. In paragraph 4 of the letter by Kuba Bayeye, Alaafin stated clearly that it is a fallacious claim that the Igbo originated from Obatala. No, he rejected that outrightly and totally. You never came from Obatala. This is the head of state, the president of Yorubaland speaking. You expect him to be an authority. And then for him to have come out in public, he has already spoken to the head of state, Oni of Ife, obviously, but he has published that to re-educate the young Yoruba. It was deliberate. Because if there is no retraction, you see, these propagandists, they are already using the statement of Oni of Ife. I can assure you Oni of Ife will personally retract that statement. He will retract that statement. Otherwise, the Igbo will continue to use it as a propaganda weapon. But it's very good that the president has spoken out about this. Paragraph 4 is clearly stated that Igbo, you did not originate from Obatala. In paragraph 5, Alaafin, who incidentally or who doubles as the president of Yorubaland, reminded the Igbo of their own claims to have originated from Israel. That is what the Igbo wrote in several of their books. Through Inri. Inri was the fifth son of Gad, not God. It's God, not God. And that Allah said to the Igbo, they should stick to their history of Israel rather than finding every means of aligning themselves with the Yoruba nation. So Allah said to the Igbo, yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Henry. He's reminding us that he's married to an Irish. Yeah, he's got a lovely, beautiful children. And then he's asking, does that mean that Yoruba and Irish are the same? No. Mr. Henry is pro-Yoruba, and his children who are half Yoruba, half Irish are very proud of their Yoruba heritage, I can tell you guys. So that was what Allah said in paragraph 4, and in paragraph 5, he reminded the Igbo that you have always claimed to be from Inri. You said you are from Israel. Allah advised them to stick to that story, that they are not from Yorubaland. In paragraph 6, Allah categorically expressed that Yorubaland and its people had no business relationship with the Igbo whatsoever until the late 19th centuries, after the amalgamation of the Southern and Northern Protectorate, which later formed Nigeria. If Nigeria had not been formed, we would never have had a relationship with the Igbo. If Nigeria had not been formed, the Igbo would not have the kind of relationship they're having in Yorubaland. So we never had any relationship with them until the amalgamation of Nigeria. So the idea that they originated from Yorubaland is fallacious. That statement was made for political reasons. But it is a very unfortunate statement from the office of the Oni of Ife, who is also the head of state of Yorubaland. Allah stated that culturally, linguistically, traditionally, and historically, the Yoruba nation has nothing in common with the Igbo. We have always emphasized this as YY member, that because we have the same skin color as the Igbo or Hausa Fulani does not make us the same nationality. What makes these people the same nationality is your language, is your culture, is your norms and value system. Look, let us be realistic and think like human beings for once. There is nothing like Nigerian language. There's nothing, but there is Yoruba language, Igbo language, Hausa language, Fulani language. There is nothing like Nigeria culture, but there is Yoruba culture, which is distinct, diverse, and different from that of Igbo culture. The Igbo culture is different from that of Hausa and Fulani culture. Let us be honest with ourselves for once. There is nothing like Nigerian food, but we have Yoruba food. Igbo don't make ikokore, but we do that in Yorubaland. That is Yoruba food. Our food is quite different from that of the Igbo. The Igbo food is different from that of the Hausa and Fulani. And Allah reminded them that linguistically, culturally, historically, and traditionally, the Yoruba has nothing in common with the Igbo. We don't have. I've lived in England for over 10 years. I've never seen any restaurant advertising British food. No. But I've seen every now and then, I see it every day. English breakfast. Why is it that they are not called British breakfast? They cannot, because the English food is quite different from the Scottish food. The Scottish food is quite different from the Irish food. That all of them are in one country called the United Kingdom does not mean that they are the same. They are not. So I've challenged people before to tell me the Nigerian language. Tell me, is there anything as Nigerian language? Is there anything as Nigerian food? Is there anything like Nigerian name? There's nothing like that. Nigeria is not a nation. Nigeria is a country of many nations. This must be respected. Alaafin emphasized that forcefully in that letter he wrote. In paragraph 7, the president of Yorubaland, the Alaafin of Oyo, defined to the Igbo that the cowrie, which Yoruba always refer to as Oweyo, Aje, has been our medium of exchange since the 7th centuries, before the English colonial talk came to our soil. In the beginning of life, it was trade by barter. If you have this phone and you want my book, I will give you my book and I will take your phone. That is trade by barter. If you have rice and I have yam and you like yam, I will give you part of my yam. You will give me part of your rice. That was how the world was started, trade by barter. But then we moved on to use of money. What we were using as Yoruba was cowrie, Oweyo. This is what we use as medium of exchange. So rather than cut your yam halfway and you give me your yam and I give you rice, we use cowries. And then Alaafin reminded the Igbo in paragraph 7. They don't have cowries. The Igbo don't have cowries. So how could they have possibly be the creator of Aje, the deity of wealth, business and commerce? They couldn't possibly. People who cannot fathom a medium of exchange, they couldn't have created that. It's unfortunate that our head of state has made a ridiculous assertion. In paragraph 8, Ikuba Baye, the Alaafin, also retraced back to the time of Alaafin Onishile. Alaafin Onishile ruled from 1738 to 1750, where cowries, Oweyo, Aje, and Iyun were being used as medium of exchange and also seen as accolades, which is before 1851 when the British colonial Turks invaded our land. That was what Laffy said in paragraph 8 of his letter. In paragraph 9, Kabiyesi gave another exemplary point of the age-long families of those who could be traced to Aje deity in Yorubaland, and further their family names. What the Alaafin was saying in paragraph 9 is that we Yoruba founded Aje. That is why you will have Aje in our names, like Aje Tumobi, Aje Wumi, Aje Forward by Beje, Aje Bandele, and the rest of them. Is there any Igbo that has a name that has Aje in it? So how could they have possibly be the creator of Aje? It is so ridiculous to have stated that. Now, Alaafin also said in paragraph 9 that the people dedicated their family to Aje deities, Aje worshipper. There are no soul in Igbo land that is worshiping Aje. So I said in one of my videos that the head of state invited the Igbo to participate in Aje, and I've spoken on behalf of 30 million young Yoruba youth that if Igbo dare to come to Ile-Ife to participate in Aje, we're going to kill them. We are not making a joke. We're stating facts. We want to end the slavery that the Yoruba nation has been experiencing since the suspension of regional government. And because the Igbo and the Fulani have refused something as elementary as a return to regional government, there will be loss of life. Unfortunately, there will be loss of life. In paragraph 11, very interesting paragraph, Alaafin gave another point that it was through the initiative of the Yoruba nation that we opened the trans-Sahara trade with other West African countries, especially between the Yoruba and Hausa across West Africa. He said, we have been trading with the Hausa Fulani for quite a long time to open up the Trans-Sahara trade route. Alafi also reminded us that we traded with the Timbuktu in Mali, Gao people, Turang people, and up to Tripoli in Libya, that we Yoruba have been trading with them for centuries, and that Yoruba used the ports in Alada, in Wema, to control European shippers. And he had it, Alafi had it in his letter, that Yorubaland is bounded to the north by the Niger River Niger, to the west by the modern-day Togo land. That is the extension of Yorubaland, up to Togo Republic. And to the east by our sister's kingdom, that is how Allah put it, our sister's kingdom of Benin, and to the south by the Gulf of Guinea. So that is the boundary of the Yoruba nation. To the north, River Niger. To the east, to our sister's kingdom, Benin Republic. That's our boundary. And to the west, our boundaries ended in Togoland. It extended beyond Benin Republic and moved down to Togoland, and to the south to the Gulf of Guinea. That is the Yoruba land. And we have always been saying this. That was why we impressed it on Dawn Commission to stop using Southwest governor. Our land is not limited to Southwest. We cannot be following the ridiculous geopolitical zone that was created by Fulani and the Igbo. Fulani invited Ben Uwabueze to create the 6th geopolitical zone. So they put Yoruba in Kwara and Kogi in North Central. They put Yoruba in Akoko, Edo, and Ishekiri in South. No. It is if the Yoruba had been the one in power who wanted to create the 6th geopolitical zone, Kwara Kogi would be part of the Yoruba Southwest. Akoko, Edo, and Ishekiri would have been part of the Yoruba Southwest. But because this was done by Fulani and the Igbo, so they wanted to divide our space. So we are not Southwest in Nigeria, we're Yorubaland. You have to include the governor in Kwara State. You have to include the senator representing Okun area, Senator Dino Melai. You have to include the representative in Akoko Edo. You have to include the representative of Ishekiri. When we have Yoruba meeting in Nigeria, outside Nigeria, we involve those in Benin Republic and Togo. Alaafin stated this much, and this is where our boundaries are. Alaafin also stated that Port Novo and Badagry are our main coastal outlets, and that we colonize the Dahomey people. Port Novo is a French name. It's like Lagos, which is Portuguese name. Port Novo is actually Ajashe. Lagos is Eko. Port Novo, that is in Benin Republic, is Ajashe. It is our port. It belongs to the Yoruba people. So that is what Alaafin said, that we use this for our coastal business. In paragraph 12 of the letter, Alaafin clearly separated the Yoruba from the criminally minded Igbo. That paragraph is one of the most beautiful ones I've read. Alaafin stated that the Yoruba in pursuit of, that's how Alaafin put it. He said, the Yoruba in pursuit of commerce, that pursuit must be legitimate with norms of the society, which is contrary to that of the, he didn't put Igbo there, but I'm putting Igbo, which is contrary to that of the Igbo who engage this in illegal businesses across the coast of not only Yorubaland, but also in other places of the world. Alaafin did not mention Igbo name, but if you read the context of that letter, you will clearly know that Alaafin is saying that Igbo are criminal. This is what we have always been saying to the young Yoruba. Don't allow these criminals to be raping you. Don't allow this criminal to be having sex with you. These guys are evil-minded. All they do is crime. armed robbery, kidnapping, vandalism, fake and adulterated drug, human trafficking, drug trafficking, you name it. That is the only thing. That is their norms and value system. They don't have kingship. Anyone with money is their leader, and they are willing to do anything to acquire wealth. Allah clearly stated that Yoruba, in pursuit of commerce, that pursuit must be legitimate with norms of this society. This is contrary to that of the Igbo people who engage in illegal businesses across the coasts of not only Yorubaland, but also in other places of the world. Seriously, everybody knows across the world that the Igbo are criminals. In Ghana, they are being deported. In Togo, they are being killed. In South Africa, they are being massacred. In Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore, they are languishing in their prisons. They are always involved in criminal activities. That is why it is very easy for them to say that they have oil. But yet all the records shows that there's no oil in Igbo land. And you continue to say to them, if you truly have oil, support regional government so that you take your oil and use it for yourself. They will say, you know, we want Biafra. That includes other people's homeland. These are not the kind of character that you allow to come into your space. Believe you me, if you are a lady who is well trained, if your best friend is a prostitute, you are likely going to end up being prostitute and you will be worse off. So when we allow uncultured people with criminal state of mind to move into our space unregulated, they will destroy the civilization of our society. They will destroy the fabric of our society. That is one of the reasons why prostitution is growing in Yorubaland. That is one of the reasons why crime is growing in Yorubaland. Many young Yoruba and Yoruba people have died from fake drug. Igbo are willing to kill their own parents for money. Because we allow them to come into our space, our children are now taking clues from them. In 2016, I want to be sure of that date. When was the time Fashola left office? Fashola left office, I think, in 2015. It should be 2014, if not 2015 and 16. Prostitutes protested on the street of Lagos. They were Igbo. How can you imagine a Yorubas protesting on the street of Lagos as prostitutes? The lady who led that protest, she's a prostitute. Prostitution is not legalized in Yorubaland. It is not. And she's saying that they must be recognized. When you allow criminals to come into your space, the future of your children is at stake. That's what Allah is saying that Yoruba, in pursuit of commerce, the pursuit must be legitimate with the norms of the society. We don't steal to open shops. There are no Igbo whatsoever who left Igbo land with money and saying, I'm taking this money to Yorubaland to start off a business. There are none. I have challenged all the directors and movie producers in Nollywood who are Igbo. I have stated that the research we've done from 1999 to 2007 shows that they are all criminals. All Igbo movie producers and directors. None of them approach any bank whatsoever to borrow money to shoot their movie. They are always going to criminals, armed robbers, kidnappers, 419, drug traffickers to raise funds to shoot their movie. Any one of them should come out with evidence that this is the bank that I approach to borrow money to shoot my movie. Afolayan is always going to the bank. It's always going to the Lagos state government to source for loan for his movie. Baba Salah, Musisola by the name, we call him Baba Salah. The only reason why he died an unhappy man was because he shot a film, Moshe Bolaton. He borrowed money in the bank and he shot this film. He released this film into the cinema. The same day he released this movie into the cinema, the Igbo pirated that movie. That man became bankrupt. He became bankrupt because he went to the bank to get loan. Baba Salah was already a household name before he shot that movie. So he must have acquired some level of wealth. Yet, that wealth was never sufficient for him to shoot his movie. He was always going to the bank. But none of these Igbo movie directors and producers in Nollywood, none of them approached bank for soft loan. Even big boss movies in America, they are always going to the bank for loan. But not the Igbo who are in Nollywood. They are all criminals. And I've said we are going to take everything from them because they are proceeds of crime. And if you read the content of Alaafin, he supports what YYF has been saying. He supports us. Igbo are natural criminals. They cannot do anything without crime. None of their business is legitimate. All of the vehicles that has been stolen across Yorubaland, they take them to Ladipo and dismantle them and sell them as spare parts. Look at the baby factory they run. Igbo are criminals. So that's why Alaafin said in paragraph 12 that the Yoruba in pursuit of commerce, the pursuit must be legitimate with norms of the society. He went on paragraph 13. He stated, he cited examples of the industrious Yoruba businessmen, few of whom were Obadiah Johnson in 1884, who qualified as a medical doctor, John Randall, the son of Thomas Randall, an Oyo man who settled in Aruloya in Lagos as at 1888, Orisha Dipo Obasa in 1891, Herbert Macaulay in 1893, and followed by Abebi in 1900, among others. These were best brains of Yorubaland then, with degrees, with no criminal engagements. Remember that man. I can find his name now. I can conveniently find his name. That Igbo man. I'll get his name, yeah. I kept it. I was making mention of his name and I wanted somebody to remind me, but no one reminded me while I was live. Yeah, I know his name now. Onwofo Orizu was a criminal, crook, convicted, and he became the Senate President of Nigeria. This guy was a criminal. He was convicted by the colonial government. He took money from his own people, saying that he's going to send them to school in America. He approached a university in America. They decided to give them scholarship, free tuition. So all the money he collected from their parents, he never gave it to these boys and girls. So they had no accommodation, they had no money to feed. And the university couldn't provide food and shelter for them. But the university in America was only interested in giving them tuition-free universities study. So this guy, Nwafo Orizu, he was arrested in America, brought back to Nigeria to be tried. Because they couldn't arrest him in America because he was hiding. He escaped to Nigeria. He was picked up by the British here. The case went to court. He was convicted along with his younger brother. But when this horrible man, Zik, Zik was also investigated for corruption in 1956. So when Zik became the governor general, he made this guy Senate president. Igbo are born criminals. Now, the point is this: if you allow this kind of people move into your space unregulated, they're going to destroy your civilization. They are massive. They are being in a group that they don't know. We were using them for research. We saw the discussion they were making, Igbo group. They were making discussion that they should be raping Yoruba women and get them pregnant to spread their seed. That's how they put it. That's why they come into our space, they do crime, pay some little money. Imagine somebody with 5 million naira. He can sleep with 100 of our Yoruba girls and get all of them impregnated. What they are using it for is to show that they want to spread their seed. They want to destroy our civilization. What they are planning for us is about 50 years. Game they are playing. We can't allow these people to continue to move into our space unregulated. People who can hop on into a plane to go to Dubai to commit crime. Imagine what they are doing without visa coming into Yorubaland. They are destroying the fabric of our society. This Orisu guy was only 32 years old. And he was found guilty on the 2nd of February 1953. And he was jailed. He came out of prison, a convicted criminal, and he was made your Senate president. It's crazy, folks. So they started saying, after this guy was convicted, jailed, Nnamdi Azikiwe started a false narrative saying that Orisu was convicted by the British colonial government not for embezzlement, but as a revenge for his criticism of anti-colonial speeches given at the 1947 Enugu Coal Riot Rally. This is the propaganda of the Igbo. That is their nature. I'm saying to Yoruba women, continue to open your legs for them. Let them continue to rape you and spread their seeds. You will be the one that will face the consequences of these children without fathers. That is what you are going to face. The Igbo want to destroy our civilization. We must protect that. Somebody that was convicted of crime who served prison sentence, he shouldn't have been elected. He shouldn't have been elected. So the Igbo started saying that they convicted him because he was against the English colonial law. It wasn't. He committed crime against his own people. How much more you, Yoruba, and you continue to allow these people to come into your space? They would destroy you. But we, my generation, is saying no. So we're going to stop Igbo from coming into Europe. I can assure you, I have valid information from the Yoruba political leaders. And this is why you can see a public letter. It has never happened before. The head of state made a ridiculous assertion. The president challenged him in public, saying that you have made a ridiculous assertion. Because we want the young Yoruba to know the truth so that they can guide Yoruba civilization jealously. We're going to reduce the number of Igbo. Politically, we are not benefiting from them. Economically, we're not benefiting from them. They cannot be living in our space and be thumbprinting for Fulani. They cannot be living in our space and be committing all manners of crime that is affecting our people, particularly our women. We must stop these folks. So they are criminals. But in our own case, we have been doing legitimate business. And this was stated in paragraph 13 of Alaafin of Oyo letters. It's an open letter. That letter is targeted at the Young Yoruba, by the way. In paragraph 14, the Alaafin also expressly stated that our former education began in 1842. And by 1859, respectively, we started establishing missionaries primary school and the CMS grammar school in Lagos. And also in 1876 and in 1879, when we established Methodist Girls High School and Boys High School, including St. George's College in 1881. Let me see, that's what he was talking about, our educational program. In paragraph 15, Alaafin of Oyo also reminded us that it was with our education which brought about human capital development that distinguished the Yoruba in the whole of Africa to have established first television station in Black Africa. He said that in that letter, that our investment in education brought as return of investment, improve human capital development. Because we've got the brain, because we have educated our people, because we now have the brain, we are the people who first established the first television station in Africa. Unfortunately, we are not watching TV station from South Africa. People will find a television station before because the unity system took away our television station, took away our progress and everything that we've done. Alafia Foyo said that we are the first in Africa to build 5-star hotel, Premier Hotel in Ibadan. He said we are the first in Africa to build an Olympic stadium. He said that we are the first in Africa to build a dualized road in Africa. He said we are the first in Africa to build skyscraper, first in Africa to build farm settlements. We have never depended on any nation for food. We produce what we eat under regional government. Alafi stated in his letter that we are the first in Africa to establish food canning industry. We are the first in Africa to start free primary education. We are the first in Africa to start free medical services for all. We are the first in Africa to have the first African bishop, Bishop Ajayi Crowther, among others. In that same letter, the Alaafin reminded the Igbo that the Yoruba codified their language for them and gave them the Igbo alphabet called Isioma. The very first time I raised this issue in 2018, I said that very clearly, that we civilize the Igbo. The people who civilize can never be better than us. They don't even know how to codify their ordinary language. We civilize them by codifying their language. We wrote their first book, which is the Igbo alphabet, called Isioma. We gave them cassava stick when we saw them eating themselves. They were eating themselves. If anyone dies in Igbo land, they will keep the corpse and eat that person for so long. This is why they became criminally minded. This is why they don't have human capital. They couldn't conceive agricultural production to plant food. We civilize them with ordinary cassava stick. When we have been planting ewedu, when we have been planting cocoa, when we have been planting cocoa, when we have been planting rubber, when we have been planting beans, when we have been planting melon, and so many other things that we've been farming. When we have been making amala from issue, when we have been making iyong from issue, these guys were still eating themselves until we civilized them with cassava stick. Up till now, they have not been able to fashion out any other food essentially as their own invention. So when I raised this issue, people said to me that I'm crazy, I'm lying. Alaafin wrote the same thing in his own letter. He said, we civilized the evil. The idea that people will civilize created us is stupidity. People will civilize came out from Obatala is ridiculous assertion. It's unfortunate that Prince John VI Jayola is an idiot because his mother is Igbo. He wants to make sure that Igbo and Yoruba appear to be the same. You don't lie because you want to forge a relationship. You don't tell people that because Igbo and Yoruba are having sex with each other, then we are one and the same. We can't kill each other. The English and Scottish were married to each other, yet they fought war for 300 years, killing themselves. Look at their campaign in 2014. They were abusing themselves because the Scottish said they don't want to be part of the UK anymore. Yet they have families that have been married together. Yet they are speaking the truth. But because an idiot Yoruba woman is having sex with an Igbo, he said all of us are the same. You can see how ridiculous that we have become as a result of this unregulated migration of the Igbo and the unitary system. When I say things based on research, idiots, Libra, they don't believe me because this is not coming from my brain. I'm doing research. I'm reading other people's work. When I said that the VAT coming from Lagos is 60%, people said to me, you can't get the data. It's very easy. This is what I went to university to learn. Then the former Minister for Finance, the lady who left over NYSC, she came out and gave us her own figure. She said that Lagos State is contributing 55% of the VAT in Nigeria. While I stated it was 60%, she stated, a finance minister stated it's 55%. So what is the difference between 55 and 60%? When I first stated it in 2012, they called me all manners of names. People said that he doesn't have a job. People said it's hopeless. It doesn't have paper. People said it's crazy. That's what they normally call me. You see, people who don't read, they can't fathom sympathy. When I stated that Yoruba nation will contribute 80% of the federal inland revenue service, they also abused me. So it's different. See, when you are smart, intelligent, it is only your contemporaries that will appreciate you. I read books now. I find new information. I jump up, quickly write it down, and I discuss with somebody who has also been reading, who brush up these ideas. But you say to an idiot, a stark illiterate who has been drinking beer, running after women, all this stuff, saying to the guy that, do you know that Yoruba generates 80% of the federal inland revenue services? You say, no, unbelievable, the whole of Nigeria, no, what you are saying is wrong. Where is your statistics? But the Oba of Lagos said in 2017 that the Lagos state alone is generating 70% of the federal inland revenue. He wrote a letter to this Saraki as Senate President in 2017, saying that this is no longer acceptable. But in 2012, I stated that the Yoruba nation will generate 80% of federal inland revenue service. Am I not right? If Lagos state alone is generating 70%, if we factor in other Yoruba state, that comes to more than even 80%. I have always been right because this has always been my training. I'm not talking from a beer parlor. I'm reading. I have a library. I have always had a library since age 15. It makes you to consult books written by other brilliant folks. It makes you aware of your surrounding. I stated that we codify the language for the Igbo. They couldn't even sit down on their own to write their own language. All the alphabet of the Igbo, we Yoruba wrote it and gifted them. We civilized these animals. Yet they have never voted for us. Yet they are killing our people, coming into our space and operating as armed robbers. So people that we civilize, I am now formulating policy to deal squarely with them. The land use tax that was brought about in Lagos, it has my ingenuity. The unexplained wealth order, you will see that Sanwo-Olu will pass it. Because I want to take every single properties that belong to Igbo and your businesses in Lagos because they are proceeds of crime. And I thought about that policy, unexplained wealth order. There will be an agency in Lagos that will be established. That agency will go to the High Court in Lagos, obtain an order from the court. The order will be served on any Igbo properties owner in Yorubaland, particularly in Lagos. If your property is more than 5 million, you will be served that order and you will go to that office to explain to them how you come about that 5 million. If you cannot explain your source of income, you will forfeit that property to the Lagos state government. It's a simple politics. You think we cannot destroy you? I will say to you, like Allah has stated, that we have acquired education, we will use that human capital to destroy you, Igbo. Because for far too long, you have been destroying us. And this generation must now end your irresponsible behavior. 2019, you forced the entire nation to produce 2 minority candidates. Fulani. What is the big deal for Fayoshe, who is more educated than Atiku, to have been produced? Why is it you, Igbo, you want to live and die in Yorubaland, but you don't want to support our political interests? You will die in Yorubaland. There's no contest about it. That is going to be your lot. This generation of mine, we will deal with you. We've had enough of what you've done. So that was what Allah said in paragraph 15. Everything that we have been able to achieve as a result of our human capital. And in paragraph 16, and that is the last paragraph, by the way, Allah, I don't know the appropriate word to use. I have a word here that is not convenient for me. But what Allah stated in that paragraph is to encourage the office of the head of state, Oni of Ife, to retract the statement. And we are standing by that request. We do not wish to disrespect the office of the Oni of Ife. We do not wish to undermine the position of Oni of Ife. We respect him because he's young as us, but we see him as the head of state of Yorubaland. We don't want to disrespect or undermine his authority. So I will be appealing to Kabiyesi, His Imperial Majesty, Oba Ogunwusi Adeyeye, the Oni of Ife and the head of state of Yorubaland, to, as a matter of urgency, to speak out on this issue of Obatala, Ajay, and the Igbo. He must retract his statement because the statement he made is untrue, is unjustified, and is fallacious, like the Oni of Ife stated. But if the head of state will not, I can assure the head of state that it is never our intention, but we might be forced to undermine this authority. We might be forced to undermine this authority. So we call on the head of state to retract that statement. Folks, while I was reading the letters of Alaafin of Oyo in public to educate the young Yoruba, Alaafin of Oyo clearly stated that the first dualized road in Africa was in Yorubaland. Okay. Now, that was a first for me. I had no knowledge of that. That road is the Mokola to State Secretariat in Agodi, Ibadan. For those of you who know that, I've done the research. Yesterday, I've done a fantastic research. When I don't know something, I try to find out from reliable sources. I spoke to my mom about it. She confirmed the construction company that was responsible for that. I spoke to my father, and then I spoke to an elderly man, and then I confirmed from somebody that I know is going to be in the know. So the first dualized road in Africa is actually the Mokola to Secretariat in Agodi, Ibadan. Ibadan is the capital of Yorubaland, as well as the capital of Oyo State. Ibadan is the largest city in sub-Saharan Africa and the second largest city in Africa after Cairo, Egypt. I have to say to the young Yoruba, when we want to say something, we do research, and so that we can give you the truth. I have been researching on the relationship, the alliance between the Yoruba nation and the state of Israel. I want to tell you categorically that the first dualized road in Africa is built in Yorubaland, and that road was constructed by an Israeli construction company. This shows the alliance that our grandparents have always been having with the state of Israel. We will revive that relationship. So that road was done by Sone Bone, an Israeli company. That is not the only road they constructed. They also constructed the Ibadan-Ife road that stood for many decades. And I will tell you for free, this same Israeli company built what is today the great Obafemi Awolowo University, which remains the best university in Africa in architectural design and technical building. Our grandparents had fantastic relationship with the state of Israel. We will revive that relationship. And I've said to you that you must have known the farm settlement that was established across Yorubaland. We couldn't have possibly done that, but we did that successfully with the support of the state of Israel. We became self-sufficiency under 5 years that we started our beautiful relationship with the state of Israel. The English colonial talk colonized Yorubaland for 100 years, 1851 to 1951. Throughout that 100 years, nothing was done in our space. We had no television station. We had no skyscraper. We had no dualized road. We had no Olympic stadium. We have nothing. There was no farm settlement to produce our food. The English were just stealing our raw materials and enslaved our people. They are collecting taxes from our people to build England. That was what they did. But when Awolowo in 1951 became the leader of government business, local government chairman, and finance minister, that was very powerful role. He combined all the role. Under 5 years of that leadership, Yorubaland became self-sufficiency in food production. Under 9 years, we built the best, everything that is first in Africa. Dualized road, television station, Olympic, skyscraper, free education, free healthcare, you name it, under 9 years. But when the irresponsible English were ruling us, were colonizing us, they did absolutely nothing. But it is so gratifying that we were able to build these successes with the support of the State of Israel. They helped us to build our farm settlement. They built the first dualized road in Africa for us. They built the second road, the Ibadan-Ife road that stood for many decades. The best university that was built in Africa was built with the support of the Israelis construction company. Our grandparents had beautiful relationship with the State of Israel. Today, what do you see across Yorubaland? Lebanese, Indians, they have taken over our space. People that can never speak in support of our interests in public. In the Committee of Nations, Lebanon, what can they do for us as Yoruba people? If we are being attacked by Fulani with the backing of English, what can Lebanon do? What can India, who are controlling 80% of our drug distribution, genuine drug distribution, not fake one that is being produced by the Igbo, what can they do? The English that we go to every now and then, they stopped us from using nuclear energy to generate electricity in 1955. Yet, Lagos state government approached an English company to provide electricity for our street light in Ikoyi, Victoria Island, and Ikeja. InterSwitch just signed a £56 million business with an English company to produce ordinary Oyster card. We are relating with people who do not like us. We are having a relationship with those who wish us dead. That is not how sophisticated, civilized, decent, and responsible nations behave. No, we must work with people who are our friends. We must work with people who like us. We must work with people who respect us. We are going to work with the State of Israel. We support Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. We will work with the Zionists. I can tell you for free that YYF is already forging a relationship with the State of Israel. We are going to rekindle the relationship our grandparents had with Israel. We want them to help us to talk to the United States of America. This is what we want. I received a phone call this morning from a female that I had no idea into my public number. She told me she had information that Buhari has approved my assassination in England. I said, look, you are fucking... I don't want to use that statement. I don't want to use that language, rather. I said, look, you cannot be real, because if such has been approved, you would never have an idea. Buhari doesn't have to travel to England to approve my assassination. He doesn't have to have. So I said to her that, look, you are just bullshitting yourself. I have always known that the Igbo want me assassinated. They tried the very first time in 2013. I apologized to my wife recently when her picture and that of my son were being used by Igbo over social media, and I said, I'm sorry. You don't want me to do this, but I'm sorry. But if we get to achieve our aims and aspirations, I will forever be thankful to you, because you stood the test of time with me. You do believe, but you are scared. Don't let us talk about assassination. People die every day. We are going to change Yorubaland, and we are going to go to war. Unfortunately, people will die because it has taken 53 years to get justice. And in such circumstances, people fight. If we do not fight, the future of our children will be worse off than our own children. So I have been researching about our relationship with the State of Israel. It is unique. Our grandparents, we pick and choose our friend. We don't have relationship with English. That is the truth under regional government, because the English have always been against our greatness. But it is so unfortunate that our political leadership, our business leaders, our religious leaders, they have no sense of history. They have no sense of history. We must revive history in our primary schools, in our secondary school. As a matter of urgency, history must be compulsory in university for at least first and second year. English are not our partner. English are not our friend. They hate us. We must hate them. Our business leaders must stop signing business agreement with English businesses. Our political leaders must stop having relationship with English politicians. Our traditional leaders must cease relationship with English, because English establishment are working against our collective interest as Yoruba people. This is the time for our political leaders. If you must come and enjoy European country, you can go to Portugal. They have the best road. And these people were once our ally. They always sell weapons to us to fight against the English. I've read that before. You can go to the Scandinavian countries. If you are Yoruba, you need to be educated. You don't have to come to England. They are not our friend. We are saying to their politicians, they must reevaluate their relationship with the Yoruba nation. We are not going to wait for them to reevaluate their relationship with the Yoruba nation. We don't want to be part of the Commonwealth. It is committee of slaves. We don't want it. America is not part of the Commonwealth. Why should the Yoruba be part of the Commonwealth? We must revive our relationship with the state of Israel. Our religious leaders, particularly the Pentecostal Christian, must revive our relationship with the state of Israel. YYF is already doing that. It's very tough for me because I have a Yoruba citizen whose mother is from Israel and is so interested in what we do. We are using that link to talk to the people in Israel at the topmost level. We want to revive that relationship. So folks, we must compel the head of states, Oni of Ife, to do what is right, to retract his statement. I love him so much because he respects me very well. He respects me. But it's very difficult for me to have to do this in public, because he respects me so much. But we have to do this because we must hand over a better civilization to our children. So in our old age, we will be more peaceful than our parents. Our parents are not peaceful now because my parents are struggling with healthcare. You see, I don't want to live that kind of life. I don't want my generation to live that kind of life. So what I initially wanted to discuss earlier today is education and consciousness. And I said to you that education and consciousness are two different things. That the majority of the Yoruba are well educated, but they are not conscious of the happenings around them. They don't understand Nigeria. They don't even know how it came back. They have no knowledge of regional governments. They are not conscious of the fact that the port belongs to them. They say they can't get jobs. They look around. They are being arrested, being killed by police. But who are the police killing you? Foreigners. They condemn EFCC. But who are the people who are working as EFCC official in Yorubaland, Hausa Fulani? They don't know in their mind that, well, how come we have Hausa Fulani space, we have Yoruba space? Are there no Yoruba well educated to work in EFCC? Why must it be foreigners? They are not conscious, yet they have paper certificate. Paper certificate. Somebody called me a professor and said I must complete my PhD. I said I'm not going to complete that PhD. I want my former university to give me an honorary PhD. So if you want me to be doctor, I can't sit down and be reading to qualify as a PhD. No. We do so much of nonsense certificate. We are not conscious. Yoruba would rather go and fight in England, support Labour Party, because they believe Labour Party like black people. No, Labour Party don't like black people. Gordon Brown sold used weapon used in Iraq to Yaradua. Yaradua brought that weapon to kill my friend from the Niger Delta. My friend would praise Yaradua that he gave them money for amnesty. And I said, these are the guys who kill your own people. You don't even appreciate your family. White people, if you kill one of them, they will forever serve them for the rest. If anybody should go and fight and die for England, they will remember them forever. But Fulani Yaradua just came and killed you in Niger Delta because he gave you amnesty and paid you some money. You forgot about your brothers and sisters who were killed. And I keep saying to the person who called me this morning, I said, look, you're telling me Buhari came to sign the agreement, the approval for me to be assassinated. Do you know how many English were in Lagos? If you kill Yoruba, if we kill them back, they will never be killing your own best brain. They won't be killing you. But when they kill us, we don't kill them back. We embrace them. They kill you more. No human being does that. So you see, education and consciousness are different things. You can have your ridiculous paper certificate, but you might not be conscious of your surroundings. Many of you are not conscious. How many of you knows before everybody is now talking about tax? But with our education, everybody was saying, yet we don't spend Owepo. Many Yoruba do not have an idea that all our military bases in Yorubaland, Fulani are in charge, not conscious. But if you go to the north, Fulani are still in charge. I cannot verify the information because I'm getting information as per the presence of Buhari, that the establishment in England are telling him that they must now, as a matter of urgency, take total control of all port of entries into Yorubaland. That they must control our airport, they must control our seaport, they must control our land border. You will see the changes. I said that the English establishment said to Buhari to give Yoruba piecemeal restructuring so that we can keep quiet for a while. That was why he said he's going to do community policing. Another information I'm getting, if I cannot verify, I will tell you. I cannot verify. I trust the source, but I don't want people to give me too much information. Like the same source, another source rather, wanted me to come and meet Tinubu. I said, look, if Tinubu knows where he can get, so I'm not going to go to Tinubu through you. So you say to Tinubu, I said, we're young guys. We're just young. We have staffs meeting. So these are the people that we talk about things. But I get a lot of information. So the information I'm getting now is that the establishment in England, they are telling Buhari that in his second term, he must take total control of all port of entry into Yoruba. They are scared that there is going to be war. So they control your airport totally. They shut it down for you. They control your waterways. They control your land border. No, you are not conscious. This is slavery. You are Yoruba, but go to Seme border, go to Idiroko. It is not Yoruba who are controlling it. You are slaves. You are Yoruba. Go to your point of entry, your aviation, your airport. It is not Yoruba who are there. It is not Yoruba who are there. Sorry, Henry, can you remove this guy, Ray the Gamma, please? Can you just remove him and block him totally? Yeah, I've just done that. Yeah, I've done that, sir. I've done that. So it's a distraction. I'm sorry, guys. So these are the things that we're talking about. Majority of you have the certificate. You're not just conscious. That is the latest information we are getting. If I can verify something, I'll tell you before man and God, and look, this is the verifiable information. But what I have been told now is that the English establishment have told Buhari to take total control of all our port of entries. Everything massively. But the English will not, they are going to get defeated. I can assure you for a fact. It is good for us to now lobby the state of Israel because we now know that our grandparents had good alliance with them. We must support Jerusalem as the capital of the state of Israel. We must support Zionism. We must support the right of the state of Israel to exist. Yeah, this is self-interest because they have always been helping us, and we must revive the relationship that we have had. So let me just quickly say something about this consciousness thing and then education. Now, if you look at majority of young Yoruba, they will talk about Dubai. Dubai is great. Look at them. They use their oil money. Dubai is a region of the United Arab Emirates. In the United Arab Emirates, they are practicing regional government. If you want to see the kind of greatness of Dubai in Yorubaland, it will never happen under unitary system, but it can happen either under regional government, a properly federated Nigeria, or under Oduduwa Republic. You see, education and consciousness are not the same. They think Dubai is great because they have good leaders. No, Dubai is great because they practice regional government. Majority of Yoruba are now going to Singapore. But Singapore and Malaysia were one country. They divided. You understand? So let me quickly speak about this education and consciousness. Look at Germany. Look at Germany, for instance. Germany is the most developed country in Europe. It is not England that you want to come. No. The most developed country in Europe is Germany. Is Germany a multi-ethnic country? Is Germany a multicultural country? No. Germany is a monocultural country. Monocultural country. One ethnic group is majority in Germany. These are the following ethnic groups in Germany. Germans' population is 91.5%. Turkish is 2.4%. Others, 6.1%. Others are largely made up of Greek, Italian, Polish, Russian, Serbia, Croatian, Spanish. So Germany is a mono, not a multicultural country like Nigeria. So Germany is great today. It's the most developed country in Europe because it's a monocultural country. It is not a multicultural country like Nigeria. Germany is a homogeneous country with the German ethnic groups at 91.5% of the country population. I can tell you for a fact, based on research, there is no country that is multicultural that is developed in this world. There is no country that is multicultural that is developed. Let us speak China, number 2. China is about to become the most powerful country on earth. What are their ethnic groups? These are the following ethnic groups of China that you see Chinese every day. They are taking over every space in Yorubaland now. Some Chinese were arrested in Yorubaland with guns. In our bushes, with guns. You know how many Yoruba they have killed with that gun? You and I, we don't even have guns in our own space. Foreigner from far away China, they are operating with guns in our space. They're killing you on an industrial scale. So China, let's look at their ethnic groups. Han Chinese is 91.6%. Zunga is 1.3%. Other ethnic groups include Hu, Machu, Ugwa, Miao, Yi, Tunjia, Tibetan, Mongol, Dong, Buye, Yao, Bai, Korean, Ahin, Li, Kazakhstan, Dai, and other ethnic nationality. They made up 7.1%. So China is a homogeneous country with Han Chinese ethnic groups at 91.6% of the country population. So the China, you say, you open your mouth, oh, the Chinese, they are killing people if they are corrupt. They are not multicultural country. They are monocultural country. It is an homogeneous nation. One people. Not like Nigeria with many people. China is one people. Homogeneous means one. Germany, the most developed country in Europe, is homogeneous country. One. Let us look at India. You know, India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh used to be one country. They divided. So that's what I'm saying, that Yoruba, you are well educated, but you are not conscious of your surrounding. When you are educated and you are not conscious, you are worse than a stark illiterate. It doesn't go hand in hand. You cannot be educated and at the same time not conscious of your environment. It is only illiterate people who are not conscious. Somebody once said to me, how can Igbo that Igbo don't price houses in Lagos. Whatever price you tell them, they pay. But Yoruba, they are always pricing houses. But Igbo are into crime. Yoruba are doing legitimate business. How can you expect somebody to be paying 100,000 every month? What is my profit in a month? You want me to pay 100,000 as house rent in Lagos? But Igbo will come and give you 150,000. They give you 150,000, they go and kill your brother tomorrow. Next tomorrow, they go and kidnap your sister. The nonsense 150,000 you collected for monthly rent, you will pay more than that to them because they are involved in crime. To be educated and not being conscious is worse than being a stark illiterate. So in India is now one of the fastest growing countries in the world. It has the following ethnic groups: Indo-Aryan, 72%, Dravinda, 25%, Mongoloid, and others, 3%. Because Indo-Aryan is 75% and 72% of the ethnic groups in India. India is also a monocultural country. It is a homogeneous country with Indo-Aryan ethnic groups at 72% of the population. They are the majority. This 72% will influence the rest. So that makes India a homogeneous country. Let us look at Japan. Japan remains the only country in the world that was bombed with atomic bombs. Yeah, they are the only country in the world that was bombed with atomic bombs. Since then, it has remained the second most developed country on earth. It has the following ethnic groups: Japanese, 98.5%, Korean, 0.5%, Chinese, 0.4%, others, 0.6%. Japan is a homogeneous country with Japanese ethnic groups at 98.5% of the country population. That is why Japan is developed. The people are one and the same. In Germany, the people are one and the same. In China, the people are one and the same. In India, the people are one and the same. In Japan, the people are one and the same. Monocultural country can easily develop because the people are one and the same. If you take Yorubaland out of Nigeria, because we are one and the same, zoom, we would develop at a faster rate. That was why we perform creditably well under regional government, when we have one person leading us, our prime minister. Since the suspension of regional government, what has been our greatness? Nothing. It's deliberate. You cannot adopt unity system in a multicultural country. People in that country will never develop, and they will constantly kill each other till Jesus Christ will come. Now let us look at Russia. Because the Yoruba you are so educated, but unfortunately you are not conscious of your surrounding. You are not conscious. Russia has the following ethnic groups: Russian, 77.7%, Tatar, 3.7%, Ukrainian, 1.4%, Baskia, 1.1%, Chuvas, 1%, Chechen, 1%, others, 10.2%, unspecified people, 3.9%. Russia is a homogeneous country with Russian ethnic groups at 77.7% of the country. They are one people because one of the ethnic groups is 77.7% of the population. It will influence all others' decision. Because they are homogeneous country, they can develop easily. Now let us look at the United States of America. Because some of you who are educated Yoruba, but you are never conscious. You are never conscious. When you are not conscious, you cannot develop. That is the major problem of the Yoruba nation. We are well educated, we are not conscious. Because you have black and white, some unconscious young Yoruba will think that America is a multicultural country like Nigeria is a no, no, no. Education is very important and consciousness is more. Let us look at the United States. The United States of America has the following racial group. In America, they don't use ethnic group. They use racial group because everybody in America, at least 99.9% of them, are immigrants. So it is their race that they use. White in America is 79.96%. Black, 12.85%. Asia, 4.43%. Amerindian and Alaska Native is 0.97%. The real owner of America, they are not even up to 1%. They've been exterminated by the English. Not the whole white people who killed them, because the English were the first to go to America and discover the place. They exterminated all the Native Americans. Their population is now 0.97%. They are not up to 1%. Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander, 0.18%. Two or more races, 1.61%. This is as at 2017 estimate. America, again, it is a homogeneous country with the white race at majority of 79.96% of the country. That makes America a monocultural country. America is not like Nigeria because the white has almost 80% of the population of America. So the white influences all other races. Let us look at Nigeria. So I disabuse your mind. America is unlike Nigeria. America is great because it is a homogeneous country with the white race as majority. But in Nigeria, Nigeria is not homogeneous. Nigeria is heterogeneous. The Yoruba, according to the CIA World Book, they are 21% of the population of Nigeria. Hausa is 20%, Igbo 17%, Ijo 10%, Fulani 9%, Kanuri 4%, Ibibio 3.5%, Pif 2.5%, others 13%. The Yoruba is the largest according to the CIA World Fact Book with 21%. We are not homogeneous. We are multicultural, heterogeneous. If the Yoruba had been like 60% of the total population of Nigeria, we would dominate that country. We will control everybody, and they are going to think like us. But we are not. 21%, Hausa is 20%. We are almost equal. So Nigeria can never be great under a unity system. The best political system for Nigeria is a return to regional government. If you want Nigeria to be like Dubai, the country will have to go back to regional government. If you want Nigeria to be peaceful, it has to go back to regional government. If we want Nigeria to be progressive, it has to go back to regional government. When we go back to regional government, all the people will not be experiencing the same problem. Yoruba will not be experiencing electricity problem if we go back to regional government. If Hausa Fulani are experiencing electricity problem, there will be stable electricity in Yoruba. If the Igbo have bad roads in their space, there will be good roads in Yoruba. If there is no food in the middle belt, there will be more than enough food in Yoruba. If there is no job security for people in South, Yoruba will have job security. But what do you have under unity system? Fulani are killing here today. They can move to Yorubaland tomorrow and destroy our farmlands so everybody go hungry. But under regional government, our police in Yorubaland will not be the same police in Igbo land. Our military in Yorubaland will not be the same military in Hausa Fulani land. Unity system was conceived by the Igbo to control the wealth of the Yoruba, to keep Yoruba down. They don't want you to develop. We believe, because we practice regional government for 14 years, if Nigeria should go back to regional government, Yoruba region will be the most developed space in Africa. We will never face the same problem as Igbo and Hausa Fulani. The point is this. I can tell you authoritatively that Hausa Fulani and Igbo do not have the human capital to develop themselves. They don't have it. I have done extensive research. If you leave Igbo on their whole, Abia, Enugu, Anambra, Imo, Ebonyi, you even had Anyocha, part of Delta, Oba and Ikwiri. You had it and said, rule yourself. Believe you me, Igbo will never attain anything resemblance of peace. They don't have human capital. This has been proven conclusively. They don't have it. If you put Fulani to rule themselves, have their own prime minister, control their police, control everything, terrorism will be their lot. They lack human capital. But the problem of the young Yoruba is this. Because Igbo lack human capital, because Fulani lack human capital, unconscious Yoruba think it is their responsibility to make Igbo land great. It is their responsibility to make Hausa land great. It is not your responsibility. It is the responsibility of the politicians in Igbo land and Hausa Fulani land to provide for these two people. It has nothing to do with Yoruba. Your responsibility is to the Yoruba nation first and last. If the Igbo are killing themselves, it is not your cup of tea. If Hausa Fulani are only studying Quran, it is not your cup of tea. Let us return Nigeria back to regional government. Otherwise, there will be bloodbaths across the country. A lot of people will die. America would like to sell their weapons. Those who are producing guns, tanks, they are not producing it to showcase this in workshop. They want to sell so that they can produce more and make profit and pay salaries and allowances. But because Fulani believe they will always and forever get the backing of the English, and that Yoruba generation after generation, generation after generation will be subservient to them and the English, they are going to be shocked at the level and rate at which we're going to massacre them. It will be the greatest massacre on planet Earth because we have been boiling for years. This is how the massacre is going to be. You see, the Yoruba don't talk about this. I mean, there's so many Yoruba who don't want war. This is how it's going to come. A generation like us will just kill. There will be a revenge attack. So many Yoruba will be killed. The Yoruba who are scared of war will be woken up and they will kill, and kill without ceasing. That is how it's going to be. People who don't agitate for war, when war comes, they are the last to stop killing. They are always the last to stop killing. There will be bloodbath, I can assure you. That is why we are putting pressure on the Igbo in Lagos. We want them out. We want to reduce them. What has happened in Computer Village is just a tip of the iceberg. What happened during the election when I said to them, I challenged them, if you come out, we're going to kill you. They refused to come out and they always make him out. We are not going to stop because what? We noticed that Yorubaland can never be great. We will continue to be miserable if we allow Igbo. How are they making us miserable? Through the unity system. They support the Fulani, so Fulani continue to steal our wealth. They take our wealth to Abuja, and every month they share our wealth with themselves and Igbo. And that is what the Igbo want. As long as they continue to share our wealth, our life cannot be great. But they will be fine with their own level of development. The Igbo do not aspire to be like England. They do not aspire for their homeland to be like America. But we Yoruba, we aspire for our homeland to be like Japan, to be so developed like China. These are our contemporaries. To be at par with the United States, if it is possible. That has always been our own dreams. It is not the dream of the Igbo. It is not the dream of the Hausa Fulani. You will see, I can assure you, there will be war. The Yoruba political leader, they are also now conscious of the fact that they will never rule Nigeria if they don't chase out Igbo. It is political, believe you me. If we chase out the Igbo by killing them, by humiliating them, by refusing them all manners of things, and they move down to Igbo land, we have done our research. They cannot stay there. They can't stay. So they would then be the one agitating for Yoruba to lead in Nigeria. At the same time, they know that if the Yoruba is the president of Nigeria, they are going to return back to regional government. So they will now be thinking, oh, if we support Yoruba to get there, even if we return to regional government, we can have some relative peace with our neighbors, like Efik, Ibibio, and Ijo, and then do some business with Yoruba. They will be forced to come to this realization if we can chase them out. If we can chase them out. Guys, let me just round up and talk about the Yoruba dreams and then the Fulani in Mali. You know, Fulani were killed in Mali last month. They were killed, 130 of them. They were massacred, seriously, in the presence of the United Nations. And the people say that they are trooping into their space. They don't want them. I told you we have about 17 countries in West Africa. Not a single one is ruled by Fulani, except in Nigeria. And Fulani are a minority, and they are not even indigenous to Nigeria. They are foreigners. So that's why it's very easy for the English to use them. If you can imagine what the Fulani and English are discussing in private, you will do like this as a Yoruba citizen. The English are practically telling Fulani, look, if we do not control this, if we don't control this war, if we do not control their shipping, if we don't control their finance, if we don't give us the contract, we are going to allow Yoruba to take the presidency from you. And if the Yoruba takes the presidency from you, they are going to deal with you. That is what they are telling Fulani. And Fulani knows. So the English are always benefiting from unfairness. They are unlike white Americans. White Americans are very, very good people, and they are very, very fair. The English are not fair people. They take advantage of unfairness. They take advantage of injustice. That is why, till today, no English politician will support the breakup of Nigeria, because the English are making a lot of profit from your miserable life, Yoruba. Do you know what the Igbo and the Fulani, when they meet in private, when Yoruba are not there, the Fulani simply tells Igbo, Igbo, you know you don't have anything. It is this unity system that is giving you something. If you do not support our political interests, Yoruba will chase you out of Lagos. You won't be able to use their port. You will go to your landlocked space. You will die. You will not be able to do it. This is what Fulani are telling Igbo in private. They said to them, if you don't support our political interests, it is finished for both of us. And that is the truth. But because the English are saying something to the Fulani in private, and Fulani says another thing as well to the Igbo in private, does that mean that we will not be free? No, we'll be foolish if you think we will not be free. We need to have allies. Nothing in life is free. If we cut the friendship of the state of Israel back, we cut the friendship of America, we give them 10% of our wealth. They support us with military weapons. They sign military pact with us. They do business with us. They take 10% of our wealth, we keep 90, and we use the 90 to make our people happy. Already Fulani and the English and the Igbo, they are taking 90% of our wealth, and they are giving us back 8%. That is why I live in England. That is why we want to escape from Yorubaland. That is why a lot of us are in America. But I want to tell you one thing about the Yoruba dream. Majority of young Yoruba think that living in England, I'm attaining my full human potential. I have never been successful since I came to England. I cannot attain my full human potential. When I left university in my early 20s, I was working with oil and gas. In my mid-20s, I was working with Standard Chartered Bank. I left that bank, I went with my friend. We were buying companies, dormant companies, through financial derivatives. Under 30, I was already an assistant manager in charge of funds and portfolio management. I was attaining my full human potential. I was gradually moving up. When I came to England, I got discriminated because I am Yoruba and because of my race. It doesn't mean that the English are bad people. It doesn't mean that the English are racist. They have their own children that they have to take care of. So they will not take care of me and ignore their own children. So the Yoruba dream is not for you to escape to North America. It is not for you to escape abroad at all. The Yoruba dream is for you to acquire education. The sky will not be your limit. That has always been the dream that Awolowo envisioned for us. If you acquire education, at least up to a graduate level, you will attain your full human potential in Yorubaland. And that was what our parents were able to achieve until the Igbo suspended regional government and the Hausa Fulani perpetrated the unitary system. If we return back to ordinary regional government, believe you me, we will live a better life. You and I will not desire to live in England. I am not happy living in England. I face a lot of injustice. One of which is this. I had an extramarital affair, which I have always owned up to. And my wife found a text message from a lady. And then she said, I'm not going to see my kids. My wife removed my children from their school because she was so upset and put them in another school without my consent. That would never happen to me in Yorubaland. I fought against this thing and I did not get justice. They consider it as a normal norms. Yeah, she can do it. That is an injustice. I don't have rights and privileges. She can't do that in Yorubaland. In their law, Children Act 1989 says that when you are married to a woman as a father, you have parental responsibility when it comes to the education of the children, the health care of the children, the religious upbringing of the children. That is their law. I quoted that law in the family court. They just said to me, she's removed them, there's nothing I can do. And I gave evidence that I said that she cannot remove them even before she removed them. For me, I'm not happy about that. That shows that I have no rights and privileges in England because of my ethnicity and my race. That will never happen to me in my space. It is not that it is particularly bad for you to have an affair. Look, things happen. It doesn't mean that you are going to lose your rights when you've done that. No, it doesn't mean. The worst that can happen from that is a divorce. But I don't like divorce anyway, when you have the kids and stuff for children. The worst that can happen is a divorce. But nobody will remove your kids from school and say you are not going to see them. I have to go to court to be able to see my kids. It won't happen in my space. I didn't get justice. But I knew because I am not English. And that is why that happens. Some people will say, no, it happens to some Englishmen. It's rare. It happens every now and then to Black people in this country. The law clearly stated that you have parental responsibility and these decisions cannot be taken without your consent. But that decision was taken without my consent. That is not the only injustice against you. You can't get the job that you qualified for. I've studied economics. I have written 4 books. I can't get the job that I qualified for. There are English like myself who are well qualified, who also need the same job. So they will have priority over me. So I have no right and privileges. When it comes to housing, I get discriminated. You can't get to live in the area that you want. There are some areas that are specially for English. They will put you where the Blacks are, which are deprived area. It is nothing to do with racism. It is because they want to take care of their own children. So I have got no rights and privileges in England. I have no rights and privileges. That is the honest truth. So I do not for once blame the English. Some people said, oh, you are going to be deported. That shows you that I have no rights and privileges. If I commit crime, I will be deported. But if I happen to be an English, even if I kill the whole of England, nothing will be done to me other than to go to prison. I will never be deported. I have no right and privileges. So to Young Yoruba, the reality is so simple. We must build Yorubaland. If we do not, we are thinking that we can attain our full human potential abroad. Is a bold-faced lie. So many Yoruba are living abroad doing miserable jobs. Not that they are being hated, but the country they are living in, they also have their own indigenous citizens and they would like to take care of them first and foremost. There is no racism anywhere. We all are practicing self-preservation, but unfortunately, so many young Yoruba have no clue about what is self-preservation. Everything I have experienced in England Everything Yoruba are experiencing in England or in North America, it has nothing to do with racism. It has everything to do with self-preservation. It is only in Yorubaland that we Yoruba can be first-class citizens. It is great when you are first-class citizen. I come to England, I got to come with visa. I have to regularize my stay. I have to do nonsense job, horrible shit job, jobs that I'm not proud of. I have to pay so many bills. You have no friends, family, relative to relate with. You struggle throughout. You are unhappy because you live outside your space. This is what we're facing. And on top of that, we cannot even go back home because of the unity system. If we go back home, for instance, it is either Igbo armed robbers who come and kill us. It is either Fulani herdsmen who come and kill us. It is either there is no qualitative health care. You cannot even get genuine medication. You cannot live in peace. To move from one angle to another is a business. It's a big problem. The public transportation is not there. There's no job because of unitary system. So, but if we continue to complain about all of this without fighting, our children will do exactly that we're doing now. So let us think about it. The Yoruba dream is for us to acquire education, and the sky will not even be our limits. But we have been acquiring the education, but the consciousness is lacking. We are well educated. We cannot still attain our full human potential in Yoruba land. We cannot fulfill the Yoruba dream because our resources has been stolen under the unity system. So for our children to attain that Yoruba dream, we must fight for them. And in fighting, we must get Oduduwa Republic because for 53 years, the Igbo and the Hausa Fulani have refused a return to the regional government. So folks, that is the Yoruba dream. I am not happy living in England. I cannot achieve my full human potential. I get discriminated a lot. I don't like it. It's a huge pain in my heart. I don't want my children to live that life. I don't want it. I want my children to live the Yoruba dream. So in Yoruba land, my children generation, and even our own generation before my children generation, we can control our waterways. We can control our ports. We can control our police. We can control our military. We can control our custom. We can control our immigration. We can control our court. We can control our prison. We can manage our own tax. We can tax people in our own space and spend the taxes for the greater development of Yoruba. This is becoming increasingly impossible because the establishment in England support the Fulani to continue to dominate us. They don't want the Fulani to leave the power so that Fulani can dominate, so the English can come and take our wealth. The English are still enslaving us, using the face of the Fulani, using the backing of the Igbo as well. Because the Igbo voting Fulani get the military support of the English to suppress the Yoruba nation. Our generation must now revive the friendship of our grandparents' generation with the state of Israel. Our generation must now reach up to the United States and lobby for their friendship and lobby for them to help us in our predicament. We cannot do it alone. That is the honest truth. So folks, the education is there. We're lacking the consciousness. Now we must now know and understand what we are lacking. The consciousness. Fulani Buhari, minority Fulani, they control the presidency of Nigeria. They control the National Assembly. They control the judiciary. They control the Federal Civil Service. They control the military. They control the police. They control the intelligence services. They control the church and mosque. They control the traditional rulers. They control the states. Minority. Nigeria is the only country on planet Earth currently where minority rules over the majority. There is no country on planet Earth where that is the case. The last country of such was South Africa. where minority white held power for so many years over the majority black. But in Nigeria case, minority Fulani are ruling over the majority Yoruba. Our generation must put a stop to this. So thank you very much, guys. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Cheers.